Welcome to the MegaCast with your three hosts. On the top left in today's episode, Brandon Crotchet. Top right, Derek Hegna. And the last for today, he's on the bottom right, and that is Michael Bullock. And the challenger on the bottom left, you know him as Denton. Today's episode, we talked about NFL predictions. Check out who we picked to see if we're going to be correct.
Well, with that being said, we'll just go ahead and get this thing started. Obviously, we're going to be talking about NFL predictions for this upcoming season. We'll go ahead. Denton, since you're our guest, you know what? We'll let you pick. Where do you want to start, NFC or AFC, and which division?
Let's start with the AFC, just based on lettering it and alphabet and such. As to where we start, wherever you guys choose, it is fine with me.
Okay.
I'll just get the obvious one out of the way first.
Yeah, AFC East.
I think we all kind of have a guess how that's going.
Yeah.
That's like Patriots will avoid as number one.
Yeah.
Put that in pen right now. Patriots is number one in the AFC for all of us, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking also, like, we just stick to the divisions for right now, and then we'll get to, like, the playoff seeding and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, let's just do AFC East since we're on the Patriots. So, Denton, do you want to start with the AFC East?
Yeah, I mean, this seems like the most cut and dry division in football.
Yeah.
Regardless of what happens at quarterback, even if Tom Brady were to get injured, I still think the Patriots are in the driver's seat just because we know what Belichick is. And their defense is decent. Not great, but decent. So I got the Patriots in this one. Buffalo, I think, got a little bit worse getting rid of Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah.
Miami is more focused on social issues than actually winning football games. And the Jets are kind of the Jets. So I think that New England has this one on the lock.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's pretty much clear cut. I feel like it's like been 11 straight years or something with the Patriots winning this division, something in that sense. This is basically the division that's always clear and cut, Patriots winning. For the 2 seed in this division, I would go with the Dolphins just because I feel like Tannehill is a little of an upgrade over Jay Cutler because Jay Cutler does awful. I know like Jarvis Landry is gone, but I see the Bills getting worse with Nathan Peterman at quarterback instead of Tyrod Taylor. Nathan Peterman threw like 5 interceptions in the first half versus your Chargers. Yeah, I started that defense that week too, so thank you.
Yeah.
And then the Jets as a 4 seed in this division, I just feel like it's the Jets. Like, Sam Darnold's probably going to start for them this year. I think over Josh McCown. It's a pretty close race, I think. I'll give the edge to Sam Darnold. And I just feel like he might struggle this year.
Well, they may throw Bridgewater in there. I think they signed him this season, so he could get
in there.
Yeah.
Like, the Jets and the Bills both got one free agent guy who's a fringe starting quarterback, and then they got, like, a guy they're planning.
Yeah, the Bills I think got A.J. McCarron, who is decent for the Bengals, like, once.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, when it comes to this division, it's like the only questions are who lines up 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I guess for me, I'll just go ahead and I'll just run through this pretty quick. I'll still say that the Bills will find a way to squeak the second spot in the division. Dolphins, they just, again, like Ben said it best, like they're more focused on social issues than they are with actually playing football. And they just lost Ndamukong too. He's gone. That defense, it's going to be pretty iffy. And then the Jets, I mean, you have Sam Darnold, but again, you've got other quarterbacks that you're probably going to be starting over him. We're not going to see him that much, so I think they're just going to find another season in the cellar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so obviously Patriots number one. I think, like I brought it up, I said that we all would probably assume it, and that's been true. So obviously Patriots number one, that's pretty much set in stone, I think, at this stage. Number two, I'm actually going to go ahead and say the Dolphins, just because obviously, yes, there are issues than actually playing the game, I think. And a little, hot take I want to do on this is that I don't think anyone outside of the Patriots in this division finishes at 500 or above. Like, they're all going to be sub 500.
Yeah.
But I think out of everyone, Miami has the most pieces. They still have Kenyon Drake, who I think can break out. They still have Devontae Parker, who will now get more of a chance to really show what he can do. And they do still have some defensive pieces. They don't have a Donovan Sue. That's going to be the killer for them. But they still have guys like Cameron Wake, Rashad Jones. Cornerbacks are pretty decent. So I think that'll be enough to push Miami above teams like Buffalo or New York. I think Buffalo and New York's actually a lot closer than people think. I think Buffalo gets the edge just because their secondary is so good. I think Tre'Davious White and Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, all those guys, I think they'll be enough to push Buffalo to beat New York, but I think it's going to be a lot close between those two teams than people think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, Buffalo had one great year, but they ended up screwing themselves and shooting themselves in the foot because they disrespected Tyrod Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, what's the old
that
saying?
man is disrespected, man.
Yeah, there's an old saying that goes with the Bills: no one circles the wagon quite like the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wide right still haunts them to this day.
Oh yeah, 0-4. Does that trigger them much?
Probably.
Versus the Cowboys
That's the
too.
Vikings, probably.
Like it was like versus the Cowboys each time, almost.
Well, you have Bills fans saying, we went 0-4 to Super Bowl, and then you have Vikings fans saying, we feel your pain, don't worry.
Yeah.
At least you have a chance to actually break that.
Yeah. Well, and the Eagles were like
Good
that
for
for a
now.
little bit too before last year, so.
Yeah.
So there's hope. There is hope.
Yeah. All right, so moving on from the East, we'll just go ahead and kick it out West. This is probably going to be, in my opinion anyway, the toughest division to call.
Mm-hmm.
Ben, who you got?
I agree with you in the fact that I think this is the most wide open division. I see 4 teams that have real potential to win it, but 4 teams that also have real potential to just squander their chance to win it. So I'm not incredibly high up on Case Keenum as a quarterback yet. I think he had a real good season last year, but I don't know if he's going to have a similar season in Denver. They did build the team similar to what they had in Minnesota, with a great defense being at the forefront, and Case Keenum basically just has to not lose. But I'm not confident enough in him to say that I think Denver is going to win. I don't know what the Raiders are. Last year I picked them to win the Super Bowl, and they fell way short of that. So I'm not necessarily sure which version of the Raiders we're going to see this year. I still am a big believer in Derek Carr. I love the guy, but I just don't know how good this team is. I think Marshawn Lynch coming back was it was hopeful. It was a great story, but it didn't turn out into real production, so I can't pick them to win. And then it comes down to the Chiefs and the Chargers, with Patrick Mahomes getting his first real action after Alex Smith. I just don't see that coming into fruition with a division title, so I'm taking the Chargers here. But at the same time, like I said, and like you said, Brendan, this is a very wide open division, and really, truly, every game in this division is going to matter. So that I think the divisional breakdown and records are really going to factor in here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I've got the Chargers. Well, I guess I'll kind of spoil my playoff prediction a little bit. I've got them making the playoffs out of the AFC, but I don't have them winning this division, just because I think Oakland will have a bounce-back year. I think that, obviously the Raiders have had trouble with injuries over the past few seasons. Derek Carr, sometimes he just can't seem to stay healthy. And again, like you said, it's wide open. I think this division, like how we said, the 2, 3, and 4 guys, or 2, 3, and 4 are going to be all below 500 in the East. I think we'll see
3.
We'll see 3 at least at 500, and then number 4 I could easily see being like 6 and 10 or 7 and 9 at worst.
Mm-hmm.
And that's again, if I had to say the Raiders, I would say Raiders are 10 and 6, and then Chargers go like 9 and 7. But yeah, Raiders I think Raiders will have a bounce back season. They always still have Khalil Mack on that defensive side. It'll definitely generate some pass rush. Chargers again, like they just keep growing and improving. Especially in places like defense. I love Keenan Allen, actually. He really surprised me a lot this past season. And I know Derek, you're loving all this praise that I'm heaping on him right now. I don't see them quite yet taking that jump. That's just me being me taking a little precaution there. But I still got them making the playoffs. Broncos got a great defense, offense though.
Yeah.
It's still not all the pieces are there. And then the Chiefs, like Denton, you said, like Mahomes is good, but I don't know how he's gonna handle being able to take over the reins from Alex Smith. So.
So for me, for the 4 seed in the AFC West, I got the Broncos. I'm just not sold on their offense, just like you said, and I'm not sold on Vance Joseph as their head coach. My dad's a Broncos fan, so he's like, oh, this is going to be the Broncos' year to make the playoffs last year again. And I'm like, I don't know. And then they disappointed him, and I just don't see Vance Joseph as a great coach. Their defense actually fell down in the ratings last year with a great defense. They were like one of the best defenses 2 years ago, and they were near the bottom last year. And then Case Keenum, I'm not sold on either. I feel like he's more of a one-year wonder kind of player. They drafted a running back, I think it was Royce Freeman or something, from Oregon. I like him. I'm just not sure if he's going to be a star running back this year because they also let go C.J. Anderson. Wide receivers, I like Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas. I'm just not sure how much they'll be able to do because I don't know if Case Keenum will continue his magic as he did last year. For the 3rd seed, I got the Chiefs. And it's just because Patrick Mahomes is too unpredictable this year. Like, you don't know what he's going to be able to do this year. I watched a lot of him in college, and I noticed he either does screens, which will work with Kareem Hunt, in my opinion, or gunslinger with Sammy Watkins or Tyreek Hill, and I think that could work out, but he also was kind of predictable too. Like, the Texas Tech offense when he was there was predictable, and I'm not sure if the Chiefs will be predictable or not. I'm a little nervous about that. Raiders I have as a 2 seed, and I feel like they're going to improve this year. I actually have Derek Carr winning the MVP shockingly. So their offensive line 2 years ago was actually near the top of the league, and then last year they had a lot of problems with their offensive line. I have a little crazy theory about it involving some social issues with Derek Carr deciding to be the only one standing during the national anthem come like week 2 when everyone was kneeling. I feel like maybe they were mad. I don't know. But I like Khalil Mack. If their defense improves a little, they could make a push for the playoffs. And I like the addition to Jordy Nelson. And for the 1 seed, I got to go with the Chargers. Phillip Rivers is going to have a breakout year this year. He's probably the most deserving quarterback to never win the Super Bowl that I feel like he should. And then Keenan Allen I really love. I think Melvin Gordon is a top 5 running back in the league. And their defense. Derwin James is going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year, I think. Joey Bosa is one of the best defensive linemen in the league. I see Derek just smiling. Melvin Ingram, he's a great linebacker. And then Casey Hayward at the cornerback position. I really like this defense. I think they're honestly probably the most well-balanced team on the offensive and defensive side.
Okay, so I don't mean to bring my bias into this once again. You guys know who I'm going first. You know who it is. The Chargers, easily. I made a piece on them for the Sports Beat blog that can be up Sunday if Alex told me right. But I think the Chargers have that offensive balance. I think Melvin Gordon, solid running back, his first 1,000-yard season should be his second, but it's not, unfortunately. But I think they have that. I think they have great depth as well, both at running back and receiver. Especially now that Hunter Henry's gone with an ACL injury, I think they have the depth necessary that they can have that and still go pretty well into the season. It means more touches for guys like Keenan Allen, Tyrell Williams, Mike Williams, who was their first-round pick last year at number 7. He had an injury-riddled year, and he's going to be back. I think 100% healthy, and I think he's going to come back with a vengeance. And also, Forrest Lamb was injured with their second-round pick, lost to a torn ACL for his rookie season.
Yeah.
I think he's going to slot. He's definitely going to be slotting in, and I think personally this offensive line looks like a far cry from the whole Max Starks led lines of 5 years ago. So I think this has been their best offensive line that they've put out in the last 5 years, at least from the training camp perspective. And defense, I think, obviously Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram, I can talk about them all day. For sack monsters, offensive tackles that are going to have their hands full against those guys. Jatavis Brown, Denzel Perriman lead what I think is a very underrated linebacker core. They added a guy named Uchenna Nwosu in the second round. I think he can be good. Kyle Emanuel is good against the run, so I think that they have balance there. They have arguably the best set of corners in the NFL today. Casey Hayward, Pro Football Focus rated him as their number 1 cover corner. He got his extension for a reason. He's a great player. And I would even go as far as saying you could make a case that, as of this current moment, you could make a case for him as the best cornerback in the NFL. And that's not biased, but I think he has the case and the numbers to back that up. Trevor Williams, UDFA, finished number 10 in the Pro Football Focus rankings. He was a great success. Jason Barrett's going to come back healthy. He's pretty good when he's on the field. But the key is keeping him, on the field as far as that goes. Desmond King's a great slot corner. Derwin James, obviously favorite for Defensive Rookie of the Year. I am rambling. All I'm going to say is Chargers are probably set to be number 1. Okay, rambling over. Now just back to go to the other 3 teams. The Chiefs and Raiders, I think, are unknown quantities. And I think that's part of that just because pretty much outside of the Chargers, every other team had something shaken up about them. Chiefs and Broncos are going to have new quarterbacks. Raiders have a new head coach in town. The Broncos could be in that same boat next season, depending on how this works out. But I think for now, the Chiefs are the number 2 team. I think that I like their defense at this stage more than I like the Raiders, just because the Raiders, they need guys like Darian Conley and Obi Melifonwu to step up, and guys like Khalil Mack are only going to cover them for so long. That you can only point to one superstar on the team and say, this is going to help them, and you can only do that for so long, I think. They also signed, a linebacker, I think. I forgot his name, though. I'll look that up later. But the Chiefs, I think, have the best defense right now out of the 3 teams. Well, actually, no. Broncos have best defense. But right now, out of the 2 teams, Chiefs and the Raiders, Chiefs have the edge, I would think. And the Broncos are number 4 just because I think they're a team designed to succeed later. Their defense is set up to succeed now, but their offense is years away. I don't think Case Keenum is going to have that lightning in a bottle season he had in Minnesota. I think that was a case of the supporting cast generally making the quarterback better. And they had this in Dante Culpepper since Culpepper was great for years in Minnesota. And then when he went to Miami, he was not as good as he was. And part of that was just because Minnesota guys like Randy Moss, Chris Carter playing them, Dante Culpepper was around. So part of it's that. And I think that's going to happen with Case Keenum. I think that the pieces he has around him are not designed to play to a guy like Case Keenum's strengths. So do I think he can have a good year? Yes. Do I think he's going to have a good enough year that he can convince people he'll be a starter and convince Denver that they don't need to draft a quarterback next year? That's anyone's guess. So now I have them as 4.
Yeah.
All right.
Rant's over.
Yeah. Indeed. Well,
that took a long time.
Well, I mean, about 50% of it, or 70% of it really was all Chargers. But hey, it's all good, man. You're plugging your favorite team.
Buy it.
Yep. I'm sure.
It happens.
I'm sure when each of us gets to our favorite team, we're going to be giving them a little extra time. So
I'm not sure if I want to give extra time to my Seahawks. It's a sad year this year. So,
All right.
Well, don't worry. We'll go easy on them.
Yeah, we'll save that for a little later on.
Should we go to the AFC South?
Yeah, we can go ahead and hop on that real quick.
Denton?
This one is another one that I think has potential to be not as wide open as the West, but this could be a very challenging division. I think all four teams have the potential to be good, assuming that Andrew Luck's shoulder is still attached to his body. But with that being said, I still think the defense of Jacksonville puts them above every single other team in here. I think Blake Bortles might be the worst of the four starting quarterbacks, but that defense is just so good, both on the front seven and the back four, that they actually can win them games, despite Bortles' inadequacy at the quarterback position. I'm a real big fan of Leonard Fournette, so I got them at the top. Now, Andrew Luck could throw a complete monkey wrench into that, and assuming the Colts offensive line can back him up. I actually just met Coach Frank Reich earlier this week. He's a super cool dude, and that's a guy that I'm pulling for, but I just don't see them beating Jacksonville. They seem to have all of the cards set in play to not only win this division again, but possibly make a serious run at that AFC Championship and at New England once again. So I'm going to take Jacksonville in this one.
Yeah. And so I agree Jacksonville's going to win this division because their defense is arguably the best in the league. Like with Miles Jack, Jalen Ramsey. It's just a great defense. And then they got a new offensive lineman in Norwell, from the Panthers. He was like the best offensive lineman in this year's free agency. So I feel like that'll help Fournette find more holes to get more rushing yards even. And he's going to have a really big sophomore year. And Blake Bortles, all he has to do is play average and limit the turnovers. And this team, I think, could be the best in the league because their defense is the best in the league. They have close to top 5 running back in the league. Their receivers, Allen Robinson left, but he didn't even play last year. Allen Hurns left, so their receivers got worse, but I think their team even got better with Norwell being in the offensive line. And this team almost made the Super Bowl last year, 4 minutes away from making the Super Bowl. So I got them going deep in the playoffs this year again. I got the Texans as a 2 seed in this division. And it's just because Deshaun Watson and J.J. Watt are hopefully going to be healthy. And if they're healthy, this is going to be a really scary team come playoff time. Because Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins had such a good season when they were playing together last year. I believe they were like the number 1 combo for a quarterback wide receiver combo last year. Titans I got as a 3 seed. They made the playoffs last year. No one even really talks about them from making the playoffs last year. But Mariota didn't even have a good season last year. So if he has a good season, they're going to be pretty good. And they got a new coach, Mike Vrabel. I really like him as a defensive mind coach. And Colts I got as a 4 seed, but if Andrew Luck's healthy, this team's scary again because T.Y. Hilton had a bad year last year, but that was because Andrew Luck wasn't healthy.
Yeah. Alright, so... I'll go then. Okay, so I think Jacksonville is currently the favorite right now. I think that defense is strong enough to cover up any offensive deficiencies. And the thing is, all Blake Bortles, like Michael said, all Blake Bortles needs to do is not suck. That's really it. Mm-hmm. Like, he has arguably one of the cushiest jobs because, let's be real, like, if guys like Trent Dilfer and Peyton Manning in his final year, if guys like that who aren't playing great but can play good enough to make sure that you don't screw up, if he can play at that level throughout the entire season, the Jaguars should be fine. I mean, Leonard Fournette's a beast. The offensive line is a lot better with Andrew Norwell on it. And the Jaguars still have guys like Marquise Lee, and Keelan Cole was decent his rookie year. I'm not sure if they added anyone as far as in the receiver count goes. I think that's a need for a draft or some point like that. But I think this Jacksonville team, as far as the defense goes, I think that's overpowered enough to get them through to the playoffs and beyond. Second, obviously, Houston Texans. Deshaun Watson's health is going to play a big role in that, as well as J.J. Watt. How those guys come back from their injuries is going to be important. I think if J.J. Watt goes back to that defensive player of the year status, or at least close, I think he can be the comeback player of the year. And a guy I don't hear talked about a lot that also got injured, Kevin Johnson. He looked great his rookie season out of Wake Forest. Got injured, unfortunately, early on in the season. It doesn't seem like anyone's talked about him, but he was great when healthy. So if he can come back and into that form, I think Houston should be good to go on both sides of the field. Tennessee at number 3, their offense is good, their defense is good, but I'm not sure if any are really breaking out into that good or great category. Obviously, the acquisition of Malcolm Butler helps. You have a New England duo in Butler and Logan Ryan, with Adoree Jackson being a solid option at the slot corner position. So that's a team I think you can look out for. I think they could sneak into the playoffs, but that's anyone's guess. And number 4 is the Colts. I mean, their offensive line's improved. Quentin Nelson is my favorite rookie of his draft class. Yep. Andrew Luck's coming back, always great. But receivers outside of T.Y. Hilton and maybe Jack Doyle that they scare me a lot. And their defense, I don't think, is at the level of these other teams. I think that if you were going to grade them, Indianapolis is fourth with a bullet. Like, Jacksonville has all-stars galore. Houston has guys that, if they're healthy, can play like the best defense in the league. And Tennessee has some good, promising pieces, but I don't really see a whole lot of those from the Colts. So I think just from the whole lack of promise that they show, I don't think that it's going to come together, at least this year. And I think the Colts finish 4th.
Yeah. All right. Well, my list pretty much mirrors just about all of you guys'. Again, Jaguars, number 1 at the top. I'm going to steal a line from Drunken Monkey in one of the battles this past week. Blake Bortles basically has been given the keys to a Cadillac, and all he's got to do is not wreck it.
Yeah.
So,
accurate.
Let that defense just take care of it. Put it in auto drive. Let them go from there.
Give it to Fournette. Give the ball to Fournette. Basically let Fournette drive and you sit in the passenger seat.
Pretty much, just pound the rock. That's the slogan for Jacksonville this year. Houston, I got them creeping up to number 2 on this list again. J.J. Watt coming back from injury, Deshaun Watson coming back from injury, and I think that the pieces that they have around them in this division are going to be enough to get them a 2 spot. Tennessee, I got them falling back to number 3 just because, like last year they were around 17th and 19th on offense and defense in the league, so it's not like they were around the average, slightly below average, and they lost to Marco Murray as well. Man retired, so I don't see that team really having the same punch that they had the year before, if you can even call it a punch. And then Indianapolis, I got it rounding out the order at 4. I like what they're doing, them getting protection for Luck and Derek, just like you said. I love Quentin Nelson. I love offensive linemen. But I just think that they still have a lot more holes to fill, a lot more pieces yet to continue to go. But they're on the right track. But they just, for right now, they're still going to spend some time in the cellar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, up to the north.
Let's go.
Denton.
Yeah. So we got Pittsburgh in this one. I looked around. I think Cleveland will be better, but it's also incredibly difficult, actually impossible for them to be worse. So I don't think they're going to go winless again. Baltimore is having the battle of an elite quarterback and a really good college guy. That elite comment is a joke. Joe Flacco's not elite. The Bengals, Andy Dalton is kind of weird. I don't know why. To the best of my knowledge, Marvin Lewis is still their head coach. I could have sworn he was fired like 2 times last year, and maybe once more the year before that. So I have no idea why he still has a job if he does. I think Pittsburgh is the most complete team in this entire division. They're one of the most complete teams in the NFL, with or without Le'Veon Bell. Obviously, he makes them a whole lot better, but even without him, they are still very, very good basically everywhere. So I got them taking this division, and really this is probably my favorite to go all the way from the AFC. I just think they're such a complete team, and I don't think they're going to falter a little bit towards the end of the year like they did last year. So I think this could be their year to possibly add some more jewelry to their already enough collection.
Yeah.
So for me, the North Browns are last place. I know they improved. I think Tyrod Taylor needs to start for this team this year just because he is a winner. I don't believe in Baker Mayfield. If you're not smart enough to make sure you don't run away from the cops, and then if you're not fast enough to outrun the cops, and if you're not strong enough to not get sacked by the cops, you're not going to live a day in the NFL. Let's be serious. So I feel like Tyrod Taylor needs to start, but knowing Cleveland, they'll be like, okay, Baker, the cops are on the field. You're going to outrun them this time. But it just won't happen. Browns finish last in this division. Bengals are going to finish third. This is an interesting team. Andy Dalton, his first couple of seasons, would get this team to the playoffs. And now the last couple of seasons, they're not even sniffing a 500 record. Like, this is really sad. Like, A.J. Green and Andy Dalton, like, A.J. Green's still a top-notch receiver, but they're just not, Andy Dalton's not really connecting with anyone. Ravens as a 2 seed, people are calling this team possibly a wild card team. I don't see it. Like, this is a team that Joe Flacco doesn't wow me. Lamar Jackson, I don't feel like will be that good in the NFL. Number 1 seed, Pittsburgh Steelers. They're still probably the best offense in this division with Big Ben, Antonio Brown, and Le'Veon Bell. Like, that's such a good offense. I'm still wondering if they'll falter. I think, is Ryan Shazier still out this year? I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And probably like 50-50 to come back, or at least.
Yeah.
At least.
He's not playing this year. They've kind of already.
Yeah, definitely not this year.
Yeah. So their defense concerns me. Like, I feel like this Le'Veon Bell thing, I feel like him announcing that this is his last year as a Steeler, I feel like this might cause some locker room issues. That's why I have them as a 4 seed in the AFC. But they're still going to be a clear-cut winner in this division, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So who's next?
Either of you two.
Okay, me again. Let's go. All right, so I'm going to say Steelers are the obvious number 1. For slam dunk, number 1. Triple B era, obviously that offense is going to be great. Even if you cut Le'Veon Bell out, I still think they're the best team out of everyone. I think that the defense does have good pieces. I think Cameron Hayward's good. Vince Williams, I'm interested to see how he develops, and especially now that Ryan Shazier is not going to be there, I would like to see how he develops in a bigger role. And I think Artie Burns is decent as a number 1 corner, or at least as a starting quarterback. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But I think as far as the championship goes, I think it's depending on how they can corral Le'Veon Bell in a little bit. Because my whole little theory that I have is that everyone hates the Patriots for the reason why they're so successful, and because they have all these big egos. But there's a reason why they're so successful. It's because they managed to capture all those egos and put them in a system that works. They shut up about it for a little bit. They say they don't bring anything up, or at least not to the degree that Le'Veon Bell has. And because of this, there's rarely any friction. There is now with Brady, Belichick, Kraft. We know that by now. But up until that point, there really wasn't anything that was just like, wow, this organization is starting to have some cracks that you can see.
Yeah.
The Steelers, I think Le'Veon Bell is kind of starting to become that sort of crack. Obviously, if they can resolve something, if they can figure something out, because I don't think he's going to sit his game out. I think I'm going to call it bluff right now. I think he's looking for a big contract. I don't see him really sitting a game out this year. So as far as that goes, I think that the Steelers are going to work hard. They're going to show Le'Veon Bell that they are a much better team with him than they are without him. And I think that that will be enough to get into the number 1 spot. Now, the Ravens are number 2, and I see them as a 500 team, maybe 9-7. And Joe Flacco doesn't wow me. I think he's overrated, and that's depending on how many people see him as overrated, and if honestly the whole perception of Flacco is not that he is an overrated quarterback because of the Super Bowl ring. But I think he does enough for this team. The running backs are pretty solid. I like Alex Collins. I think Kenneth Dixon can come back, since I don't think he was really all there last year, but I think he can come back. And the defense does have enough pieces that I think they'll be okay. Now, this is where things are going to get crazy. I have the Browns at number 3 over the Bengals at number 4. And here's the thing. I think the Browns have improved a lot. I see, they got Tyrod Taylor, and quite honestly, he's probably been the best quarterback they've had, out of everyone you've seen outside of rookies. I think he's been the best pickup they've had as far as the quarterback position goes. Mm-hmm. Jarvis Landry gives them a legit number 1 receiver outside of Josh Gordon, who we know can be suspended at the drop of a hat. And their defense, I think the interior offensive line and the defensive line have been doing extremely well. I think there's a ton of pieces there that you can build around. Obviously, the Browns aren't going to have this 500 year. They're not going to sneak into a wild card spot. They're still going to be god-awful.
Father Prime. Tell that to Father Prime.
Yeah, I don't care what he says. Can I see the Browns winning 3, even 4 games? Yes. But here's the thing. Mm-hmm. I think the Bengals are probably trending downward. And A.J. Green's great. They have guys like William Jackson, Geno Atkins that are good defenders. But overall, the whole picture has shown that the Bengals are not willing to change their ways, and it has now gotten them to this point. Andy Dalton is the definition of consistently inconsistent. And they had A.J. McCarron for a reason there. But now that he's gone, if Dalton goes, yeah, they're screwed. And the Bengals don't really have a great offensive line, at least not to the degree of the Browns. I think there's a few holes that you can exploit in that category as well. And the defense of the guys I mentioned, no one really jumps out at the page at me. No one really is like, oh, this is someone you have to watch. This is someone that you need to be scared about. So as far as I'm concerned, I would love to see the Bengals finish number 4, just because then it would finally convince Mike Brown that things need to change. Marvin Lewis needs to go. Things need to happen, because it's clear as day that this is not working anymore, and we need to figure this out. Yeah. Especially if we're going to have a team like the Browns beat us. That's just not going to fly.
Yeah. Oh, I'll go ahead and get my picks in real quick. I'll start from the bottom. Work my way up. Got the Browns, number 4, Factory of Sadness. They're just going to continue just being, like I said, Factory of Sadness. There's really no other words to say it. They will find a way to ruin things. You can load this team up with all-stars. You can get Jarvis Landry on this team. They will still find a way.
Watch its training camp. One of them has a torn ACL the very first play.
Exactly.
They had LaCharles Bentley as a center. This was a decade ago.
Yeah.
And he ended up going down almost one of the first plays, if not the first play of training camp. So if something happens there, the Browns are cursed.
Remember, their best player, Joe Thomas, is gone. Let's be that's their best player in franchise history besides Jim Brown. But
yeah,
in this current rendition,
yeah,
of the Browns,
current era,
showed up not all that long ago, 20 years I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll go ahead just for giggles, just say Baker Mayfield goes down with an injury first day of training camp. By the cops.
The cops are gonna sack him again.
Hey, in the cops' defense, all right, those guys and gals are in great shape.
Yeah.
All right? They go through a lot of training. So if you get arrested by one of them, you try to fight them, you're getting taken to the
That's why you're not very smart. Why are you gonna make it in the NFL if you're not smart enough to know not to run from the cops? Jeez.
Yeah.
You gotta think like this. They're gonna look at Denzel Ward. They're gonna see okay, the speed's there, but is the size really there?
Mm-hmm.
His highlights were against tight ends that couldn't outrun him to save their lives.
Yeah.
And then they're going to look at Denver's training camp and see Bradley Chubb, and they're going to be like, we screwed up again. Nothing has changed at all. Like, I said that before the draft happened, that Cleveland needs to have a good draft, and maybe I'll take them seriously. They didn't.
Yeah.
And they had 5 picks in the first 3 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't
Nick Chubb was probably their most solid pick in my opinion. Based on where they drafted.
Berkeley.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Should have gotten Berkeley.
They should have.
And then get a quarterback number 4.
They should have.
Yeah.
And why not take Bradley Chubb at number 4? You had a chance.
Exactly.
And if you really wanted a corner, take Minkah Fitzpatrick. Why Denzel Ward? I like Minkah Fitzpatrick better than Denzel Ward.
I do. I like Fitzpatrick a lot more than I like Ward.
Yeah, so why not take Minkah Fitzpatrick if you wanted a corner so badly?
Yeah. Well, it's what they want to do. They stuck with their board, and like we said, Cleveland was given the 1st and 4th picks of this year, and what they did with them. That's a typical Browns. Browns.
We'll go with that.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on up the ladder, I got the Bengals going at 3 again. I don't see them going below the Browns just because they'll find a way to be all right, but they won't break through this year like they haven't for what seems like forever.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, Denton and Derek, both of you guys, I think Marvin Lewis, this will be his last year. This will be the straw that breaks the Bengals back.
I don't know if their front office will fire him. It's like a little love connection.
Go 7-9, 8-8. I guess what we're doing is working. We should be a mediocre team. Keep Marvin Lewis another year.
We finished 1-15. We're keeping Marvin Lewis. He beat the Browns once. Let's go. We're keeping him. We are keeping him.
Have they beaten the Browns once? Check. He's in. Good job, Marvin. Good job.
Pretty much. But moving up to number 2, I got the Ravens. They'll, they this division, at least trying to finish number 2 seems pretty easy for these guys.
Oh, yeah.
I don't see them again. Nobody's gonna beat the Steelers right now in this division. But the Ravens, they'll do all right. They got a I'll say decent at best quarterback in Joe Flacco. He's decent. And then Lamar Jackson, I hear they're gonna try some experimental schemes with him, trying to work him in, I guess, a 2-quarterback system, which
has never worked at any level other than high school or
exactly. So this ain't
ready. Don't destroy his career before it starts, please.
Yeah. And they don't fit each other's system. They don't fit each other's system. I don't know what the plan was, but I don't like Lamar Jackson with Joe Flacco. I don't feel like their systems fit together. I feel like their playbook has to be changed to benefit both of their needs.
Yeah.
The guy that Pittsburgh got in the 3rd round, Mason Rudolph, I think he's more NFL ready than Lamar Jackson at this stage. Obviously, Lamar Jackson, if Lamar Jackson was a running back, I think he would have been ready. But as a quarterback, I don't think he's at the level of an NFL starter, at least not yet.
Yeah.
Obviously, Joe Flacco's someone that's designated to be replaced in a couple of years, but Lamar Jackson needs that time to develop his throwing arm. And let's be real.
I knew what you were doing, Michael. The second you got up, the second he said Mason Rudolph, I was like, okay, he's getting
You're welcome.
Let's go.
But Baltimore, they can have fun doing their little experiments and stuff like that. It's not going to get them a playoff spot, I don't think.
No.
And then Pittsburgh, obviously they've been running this north since Ray Lewis retired. So, and they're going to continue running it. They're the most balanced team in this division offensively. Well, they're the best on both sides anyway. Top 10 offense, top 10 defense. That's not going to change. I see them making the number 2 seed in the AFC. Going to be, in my opinion, a little bit similar to last year. So, all right, AFC's down. Let's get to the NFC. Go ahead. We ended in the North with the AFC. Let's go ahead and start in the North with the NFC. So, Denton, your picks.
So I like the Vikings in this one. I do think that at some point or another, this is kind of my bold prediction of sorts. I do think that Kirk Cousins is going to go down with an injury at some point. All the cards just kind of seem to point that direction. He's played basically injury-free for the entirety of his career and getting all of the guaranteed money that he got. Sometimes the game just works that way, so I don't see him playing an entire 16 games, but I do still like the Vikings' chances in this division. Aaron Rodgers is still the truth for Green Bay. Their defense, however, is very much not the truth. It's been arguably Rodgers' biggest Achilles heel his entire career. The one year they did have a good defense, they won the Super Bowl. So the good defense is really what Aaron Rodgers needs. And quite frankly, Green Bay hasn't given that to him. I don't like Mitchell Trubisky at all for Chicago, so not a whole lot going on there. And the Lions are an team at best to me. I think Matthew Stafford is a quality quarterback, but their receivers don't necessarily frighten me. Their defensive backs I like. I'm a big fan of Darius Slay. But other than that, I don't see them offensively having tools that could win them this division. So I'm going to go Minnesota at probably 11-5, and then Green Bay right behind them at 10-6.
Yeah. For this division, for the 4 seed, I got to go with the Bears. I'm not a believer in Mitchell Trubisky. They screwed up by trading for the second pick when they were at number 3 2 years ago.
I never got that.
Because you had to trade a first rounder as well, another first rounder or something. It just didn't make any sense. 3 seed, I like the Lions as a 3 seed. I feel like this is a team that's decent each year, that they're gonna go 7, 9, 8-8, or 9-7. I feel like I don't trust any of their running back situation. They got 3 or 4 guys that are competing for the starting job. I like Golden Tate. I like Marvin Jones. I just don't like their other pieces.
Yeah.
1 and 2 seed, I'm keep on flip-flopping between Packers and Vikings. Right now, I'll say Packers are the 2 seed in this division. I just feel like Aaron Rodgers will make the Packers improve tremendously. They lost Jordy Nelson, but they gained Jimmy Graham. But I'm not sure about Jimmy Graham this year. Every time the Packers get a decent name tight end, like Martellus Bennett, these decent name tight ends, they don't succeed. So I'm not sure about Jimmy Graham. I'll give them the second place in the NFC North. In first place, I'm going the Vikings. I'm not sure about Kirk Cousins. He's a good quarterback. Not sure if he's the winner type of a quarterback. But Adam Thielen, I feel like, will have a great year this year. And Stephon Diggs is going to have a really good year. Their defense, I feel like, is one of the most underrated defenses in the league. And then Dalvin Cook. This guy is going to be unbelievable. He was playing so well last year before his injury. And then his injury happened. Latavius Murray helped a lot. But he's no Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook's a huge upside
guy.
Yeah, I think that he was a guy that they needed to beat the Eagles last year to have a chance.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So, obviously, number 1, I'm going to go with the Vikings over the Packers because, obviously, quarterback, there's no debate. Aaron Rodgers is better than Kirk Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
He's arguably the best quarterback, locked and bound Drew Brees in the NFC for best quarterback in that conference. But as far as everything else goes, I think Minnesota has at least somewhat of an edge in everything else. Running back, Dalvin Cook, I think, is better than any running back Green Bay has right now. Minnesota, Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, Kyle Rudolph, all those guys should be good. And maybe if Laquan Treadwell finally gets his act together and becomes a at least decent receiver, then, yeah, he should be fine. They should be fine as well. And then the defense, obviously, Minnesota wins that one. The secondary is head and shoulders better than Green Bay. I nearly said head over heels. What am I talking about? I don't know. Wrong expression. It doesn't involve head. I was half right. We'll go with it. But anyways, obviously, I love the secondary. I think Holton Hill, an undrafted free agent, is one to watch. I know Minnesota likes taking the slow burn approach with their rookies, but I think Hill could have been a third or fourth round pick in the draft. Obviously, off-field issues ended that, but I think that if Minnesota is able to corral all that, I think they could have someone special in a couple years. And then, as far as the rest of the defense goes, people like Anthony Barr, Eric Hendricks, Everson Griffin, Linval Joseph. They got Sheldon Richardson.
Yeah.
From Seattle. So I like the fit there. I think he can be very good in that defensive line. So Minnesota's my pick for that spot. Green Bay is number 2. Aaron Rodgers. Anytime you have a top 5 quarterback, you're probably going to make the postseason in some capacity. That's just a given. Unless the team around you is just completely terrible, which the Green Bay Packers are not, you are likely going to make it. And they got Muhammad Wilkerson. So at least in that sense, the defense got better. Detroit is number 3 because they hover around the 500 mark, but they never really go above that.
Yeah.
They got Kerryon Johnson, who I'm not sold on him 100% being the answer to the running back woes. I'm not Amir Abdullah was supposed to be that guy, but I don't think he quite panned out there. I'd love to see him traded because I think he's become the odd man out. I think he'd benefit from a change of scenery, but that's just me. But Detroit has the pieces needed that they could become a competitor, but the problem is they don't have enough of them to be a contender. So I think they're kind of stuck in that little 500 purgatory, same as quite a couple other teams. We'll get to those in a bit. Chicago's number 4.
Yeah.
I do admit that I like Mitchell Trubisky a little more just because I think, the move was stupid. San Francisco fleeced them, obviously, but I think that Matt Nagy, I don't know exactly how he's going to work out, but new system, I'm willing to try anything once. I'm willing to give Mitch Trubisky 1 year in this system, and if he does well, he does well. If he doesn't, I'll eat crow on that one. But I don't, and also Chicago got Roquan Smith, who actually I have defensive rookie of the year just because Vic Fangio's defenses love those stat monster inside linebackers. He had them in Patrick Willis. He had them in Navarro Bowman. I think Roquan Smith's going to be that guy for Chicago. I think he can be a very solid player, but you can only go so far with only a couple guys. So Chicago's the easy number 4.
Yeah. Pretty much, again, just my pick. I'm not having much variety with my picks compared to the rest of you guys. So,
for different reasons, though, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, Chicago, again, they, like you said, Derek, they have only a couple pieces to really build around, and they're young pieces. They're not fully established superstars that, they're not an Aaron Rodgers type that you put them on the team and bam, they're automatically a playoff team. Mitchell Trubisky, I think, will be good in time, but that's in time, not right now. And the same goes to Roquan Smith. So they're my number 4. Detroit, I got them at number 3. Again, they're just been kind of muddling in that mediocre scene. I like Matt Stafford. I think he's the type of quarterback where you take him from being a good quarterback, being a great quarterback with the weapons you put around him, and he really, I don't think, has been the same since Calvin Johnson retired, to a certain extent. Those two really helped benefit each other. They had a great symbiotic relationship together. But I do like. I want to give a quick shout out. Mike Hughes, drafted. It was their first round pick out of UCF. Go Knights. Central Florida, South Florida. Those are my favorite college teams. So just a quick shout out.
Probably the wrong Knights, aren't they? These aren't my Knights.
No, not.
I like those Knights, but I love the Knights here a little more for obvious reasons. But
yeah.
Except those Knights actually won the championship. Let's be real, 13-0. They're the champion.
Exactly.
UCF versus Alabama, I think. Did Alabama win?
No, they didn't even play each other, but because Central Florida didn't even get in because they're all about money and they're like, oh, we gotta get 2 SEC teams in the top 4.
Selection committee, though, to be fair.
Yeah. They need to expand it to 8 teams and make the 5 Power 5 conference champions in, group of 5 champion in, and then 2 wild cards.
It'd just be hilarious if that's Alabama's first game. It's like, let's finally settle this. Alabama versus UCF.
Yeah, I want to see it, man.
Let's just go.
Put Shaquem Griffin on the field again.
They would have tore it up. But yeah, and by the way, Derek, those Knights have been wearing black and gold a lot longer than Vegas. Just saying.
That's true. That is true. Give them that.
But yeah, going to number 2 pick, Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, you got him on the team that can automatically get you a playoff spot unless it's hurt. But I don't see him getting hurt again this year. And again, like you said, they improved on defense just slightly, so I think that's enough to get him in the playoffs. Don't think it's enough to get him number 1 spot. And then obviously the number 1, Minnesota. You take a top 10 offense in the league, number 10, and you put Kirk Cousins, I'm not saying he's Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady or those types of quarterbacks, but he's still a quality quarterback, and he's an upgrade over Case Keenum. So that I think will definitely boost the offense there, the production that you'll see from some of the other wide receivers, and even Dalvin Cook as well. Having a good quarterback that can throw to you, and then also too that defense, number 1 defense in the NFL. Will they be able to repeat? I don't know, but I definitely like the moves that they made. And you keep that team together, you keep that core together. It might be the return of the Purple People Eaters. I would definitely love to see that again, just them continuing up on the defensive end. So, yeah. All right, going up north, heading down south, Denton. See what you got.
This division again, I think has a lot of good teams in it. I don't know what Jameis Winston's situation is going to be like with Tampa. Losing him the first 3 games certainly doesn't do them any favors, and how he plays the rest of the season, I mean that's anyone's guess at this point. I do really like what the Saints have going on. Drew Brees, one of my favorite quarterbacks in the NFL, really from the start of his career. I just don't know if they'll be enough to overcome Atlanta. Atlanta's who I got winning this division. I think this is probably their last real shot to make this thing work. I know they just signed Matt Ryan to that big contract, but I don't know how easily they'll be able to keep Julio Jones. So this seems like after the blow-up in the Super Bowl just a few years ago, I was personally surprised how well they rebounded this year, but with that being said, they didn't really rebound that well this year. Yeah. So this, I feel like, is their last year to try and make this thing work. So I'm expecting a big season from them. So that's who I've got taking this division.
Yeah, I agree. Bucks, I'm gotta say 4th place in this tough division. Sorry, Brandon. Like, Jameis Winston's 3-game suspension really hurts you guys. I really do like the Bucks. I'm just not sure about this division. If you can fall 0-3 in the first 3 games and actually make a push in this division. Panthers, 3 seed. I think they're taking a step down this year than last year. I don't see them making the playoffs again this year. I have the Saints being the 2nd seed in this division. I really like this team. Drew Brees, probably a top 3 quarterback in the league right now. Michael Thomas, a really great receiver. I really like Alvin Kamara for the first 4 games this year, especially with Mark Ingram's injury. And I like Mark Ingram once he comes back. And their defense, Cam Jordan's a great defensive player. Their safety, I just forgot his name.
Lattimore.
Yeah, Marlon Lattimore. And then their new rookie. I know people are calling this an awful pick, Marcus Davenport, but I have a bold prediction that he'll be the dark horse for the Defensive Rookie of the Year. Like, I think he could possibly do really well. And then the 1 seed, I got the Falcons. I actually got them losing in the Super Bowl this year to the Jaguars. Like, bold prediction right there. But Matt Ryan, great quarterback. I feel like what Denton Day said, that this might be one of their last years of actually keeping this core together. Devontae Freeman, I feel like, is a really underrated running back in the league. Julio Jones, of course. This guy is a top 3 receiver in the league, I think. Then you gotta look at their rookie, Calvin Ridley. I like him. I think this guy could be good. I like their tight end too in Austin Hooper, but Vic Beasley for the defensive ends, I feel like can have a big year. And then their coach, Dan Quinn, he's a good defensive mind coach, man, and he got this Seahawks to a Super Bowl 2 years in a row. So I like Dan Quinn. I feel like this might be a year that they make the Super Bowl again this year, but they're going to lose to the Jaguars.
All right, fair enough. So I actually am going to have the Saints as number one, and I say that just because, again, Drew Brees locked with Aaron Rodgers as best quarterback in the NFC. I like a lot of the pieces they have. Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram is the best running back duo in the NFL.
Yeah.
I don't think that's really a question. Michael Thomas, I like him as a receiver. Ryan Ramczyk leading. I think he's going to get better in that offensive line as a whole. I think that gets better. Defense, it's been getting a lot better than like the whole 2-3 years ago when they were finished last in the league and everything like that. So you have guys like Cameron Jordan, Marshawn Lattimore, Marcus Davenport. I don't have him as a defensive rookie of the year guy, but I think he'll be good enough to at least persuade people that, okay, you know what? Even if we didn't like the trade that we got because of him, at the very least, we're not going to get screwed. That's the thing. So I think New Orleans has everything. I like them as number one seed. I think Atlanta's number two, and I think they're a wild card team. I love what they have. Calvin Ridley, I am not ashamed, as my bold prediction to say that I have him as my offensive rookie of the year. I think he's that good a player. I think that if Julio Jones does leave, there is a chance for him to develop into that game-breaking receiver. So I do. Oh, hello. That's an alert. Good to know. There is a serious storm coming on, so I don't know if that got in or not. If so, great, and if so, not great, and if not, well, okay. We're going on. Moving on. So Falcons, Calvin Ridley, again, great offensive receiver. I think he'd be a good weapon. And the defense, I just like a lot of guys. Grady Jarrett, Deion Jones. The cornerbacks, I all like. Keanu Neal, I like. I think they just have the pieces to really make everything work. Number 3, Carolina. I think, again, kind of same thing, but I think they just have a couple more question marks, especially the secondary. I don't think that's up to par, or at least enough to really convince them that they should be above the Falcons at this stage. And number 4, unfortunately, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But here's the thing. Again, it's the same thing as Indianapolis to a degree, because even though Tampa Bay is kind of the obvious choice here, at least like Indianapolis, they have the pieces that in a couple years, if they play their cards right, things can be okay. Jameis Winston is a good quarterback at this stage. Top 15, top 20, I would say. But, he's still young. He can still develop. He can still be all right. They got Ronald Jones in the second round. I think he can be a solid running back right out the gate. It wouldn't shock me if he gets a starting job with a great training camp. And their offense is just generally good. It's just their defense I'm a little worried about. They got Jace Pierre-Paul. I think that at least that's going to help out as far as the low stack total goes. But secondary kind of scares me a little bit. Like, Brent Grimes is good. Vern Hargreaves is all right. Hasn't really shown much, or at least enough to justify that high draft slot he had. But as far as that goes, I think that that's going to be the thing that kills Tampa Bay, especially when you have 3 top 15 quarterbacks in the same division. If you have a weak secondary in a division like that, you're going to get burned every time, basically. So, Brandon, I know you don't like that, but hey, objective.
Yeah.
To each their own. So Tampa's probably the number 4 seed, but in a couple of years, I can see them getting back up.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and start at the bottom with my pick. I might be a little bit biased, but I can actually see this happening. I got actually Carolina being number 4 this year. Really, I think it all just depends on Cam Newton and the rest of the team around him. I just don't see it. I don't see that team as a whole really better than, at least in my opinion. I don't see them being a better team than the Bucs this year. I think Carolina and plus too with the NFC South, sometimes there's a lot of turnover, not just at the top, but also sometimes at the bottom. I know the Bucs have spent quite a bit of time at the bottom, so I think this is their year they start taking a step out. Obviously, this is going to be a rough first step because the first 3 games of the season they're going to be without Winston, and you face Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and New Orleans. So that's going to be rough. And I'll transition this into my number 3 pick, Tampa Bay. Like you said, their offense has gotten better. On a sec. Sorry about that, guys.
Much for hanging with us. Here at First Take, we know a thing or two about hot takes.
Whoa, what in the world? I don't know what
came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
what that
did
was.
somebody show up on your phone and you accidentally tapped that? Or
no, my fiance had just sent me a FaceTime, so I had. So she's probably gonna be like, "What's going on?"
It's all coming together now.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, back to the Bucks. Their offense, I think, even with Winston being out for the first couple games, I think they'll be fine. I don't see them winning any of the games, but they'll still, once he gets back, they're going to be good. I think he takes that step this year, especially this offseason. I think it's going to be a big wake-up call, I think, for Winston. He's going to realize, crap, I need to get my act together. I need to take things seriously. And, I think that'll kind of, make a light bulb go off in his head, and I think he'll want to prove himself. Again, Ronald Jones, I like to pick up running back. He's electric. He's got a good quick twitch. And he's not just a fast running back. He's got good agility as well to mix with that speed. So I think that he's going to be a great home run type of threat at the running back. Wide receiver core, I think it rivals some of the best teams in terms of depth. You got Mike Evans, Sean Jackson, Adam Humphries, who's automatic, Adam on third down. Chris Godwin, who's going to be pushing. I think he needs to push Deshaun Jackson for that number 2 spot. And Justin Watson drafted him in the 5th or 6th round. He's a big, tall receiver. Tight ends: Cameron Brate, O.J. Howard, big bodies. Offensive line, I think the offense is how the offense does this year is going to rest with them. You got Ali Marpet, who's been anchor for that O-line. You just signed Denton from the Ravens. And then DeMar Dotson is going to see how he does when he comes back. He's a veteran of that team. My question marks are going to be guys like Alex Kappa. We drafted him in the 4th round. He's a brawler he's a brawler in the trenches. And then Donovan Smith. That defense, though, yes, I agree with you, Derek, especially towards the back end. The defensive line, I think, is going to be fine because you got Bea as well to pair with Pierre-Paul and McCoy and really whoever.
You got Vinny Curry, too.
And Vinny Curry as well. And you got Will Golston, who I think they said he's really bulked up or slimmed down and stuff like that. Noah Spence. And then the linebacking core, you got Quan Alexander, Lavonte David, and Kendall Beckwith. One of the best linebacking cores in football, I think. That secondary, though, scares me. It terrifies me because you have Brent Grimes. The man is 35, but he plays like he's 30. But I don't know how much longer he can keep doing that. I think somebody that we haven't mentioned yet, I think is going to be pushing for that number 2 spot, Carlton Davis out of Auburn. He's a big corner, tall corner that. Oh, looks like we got a problem with Denton. It looks like he might have had a connection problem. I'll go ahead and finish this. Carlton Davis, though, big corner. I think he'll be the kind of guy that they will fit on guys like Julio, maybe a Calvin Ridley if they want to throw Grimes on Julio. All the big receivers in the league, they will throw on him, or they will throw him on them. Safety, though, is where I think it's the biggest cause of concern for me because you got Justin Evans, who is still a project, I think, and then Chris Conte. You don't want me to say anything about Chris Conte.
No.
It's
Let's keep it PG.
Yeah, he would be a solid back. He'd be a solid back if I would say that.
He would.
Yeah. But yeah, enough kind of pumping my team up. Falcons I got as my number 2. I like the receiving core you got 2 Bama boys in that receiving core. That offense is going to be supercharged this year. And the defense I love Keanu New. I wish my Bucks would have gotten him when we were drafting, but we took another Florida guy, so go figure. But yeah, I think that they have enough pieces to push for a wild card spot. I don't see them overtaking the Saints, though, because again, Drew Brees, offensive rookie of the year, Alvin Kamara, defensive rookie of the year, Marshawn Lattimore. And again, like Michael said, Marcus Davenport, that defense is going to be better this year, I think, than it was the year before. Offense is going to be consistent. So pretty much, I think that was like the longest brand I've had this whole time.
Yeah.
Most of it was for my Bucks.
So this next division, let's go to the NFC West.
Yeah.
All right. For me, I'll just start from top to bottom because I want to save my team for last, and they're going to be on the bottom. So for number 1, it's going to be the Rams. Todd Gurley had a monstrous year last year. I think that it's going to continue. This guy is honestly maybe one of the best running backs in the league. I have him as number 2, honestly, behind Le'Veon Bell. Jared Goff is decent, and their defense improved with Aqib Talib, Marcus Peters, Dominican Sue. What went there, right?
Yeah, I got to.
Yeah, so their defense improved. I'm not sure if their connection together will help work because it's a lot of divas together. Let's be real. Marcus Peters throws a flag up into the stands and gets disqualified. And Aqib Talib doesn't play nice with others and rips people's necklaces off. I'm ready for a Ravens Rams Super Bowl matchup, fingers crossed, because that'll be interesting to watch.
I just need to leave just clocking Crabtree, like if that happens, like they don't care it's the Super Bowl. The beat is too strong.
Yeah.
That's another former Buckeye miss.
And then
yeah.
And then also Robert Woods and Brandon Cooks and Cooper Kupp are a really good 1-2-3 stretch for the receivers. So they got receivers, they got running back, they got defense, and they got a decent quarterback, in my opinion. Number 2, I got the 49ers. I hate them, and Jimmy Garoppolo might be having too much fun with his new girlfrienders. I don't know what to call it.
In the next video.
Yeah.
We'll save that one for a later time.
Yeah, we'll find something.
Yeah.
Later.
Like,
There's like a ton of jokes that can be made out of it, so let's be real.
And
none of them are like for a PG show like this. You need to keep the monetization symbol.
Sorry.
If we're going that route. I don't know. I know you do monetization.
But
stupid.
I don't know. The 49ers, they got a decent team. Garoppolo is a really good quarterback, as we've seen. He wins games. I don't see anything else, though, that wows me. I don't see their receivers wowing me. Running back-wise, I don't see really anyone.
Not Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah, but I don't know. He doesn't wow me. He just doesn't wow me.
Yeah. I think the 49ers could get Le'Veon Bell, since they still have money and all that.
Yeah.
I think that's a possibility.
Defensive side,
show up.
Defensive side, they have good young pieces involved. For the 3rd seed, I got the Cardinals. I feel like with David Johnson coming back, it'll help them play really well. Sam Bradford, if he stays healthy, is a decent quarterback, and if not, you can get a high-minded kid, Josh Rosen, to fill in and let Larry Fitzgerald teach him a thing or two about losing his cockiness. But that's a debate for another day. And for the 4 seed, hate to say it, but my Seahawks might be worse than the Browns this year. It's sad. It is sad. Their offensive line is pathetic. We only drafted 1 offensive line this year's draft. That was our weakest position. We drafted 1 offensive lineman, and it was a 5th rounder. Like, what kind of thing is that? Like, we're not even going to improve. I don't think George Fant's going to start, but if he does, this guy didn't even play football until his rookie year of NFL. He didn't play college football. He played college basketball. This guy's not a football player. And he had too many holding calls and false start calls. Same with Ifedi. And then I like DJ Fluker, our acquisition for the offensive line. That honestly might be our best offensive lineman this year, and that's sad.
Don't get your hopes up.
I know.
Considering he was a former Charger, I'll just say that. Don't get your hopes up.
Yeah, but let's be real. I don't have any hopes with that Seahawks offensive line. So, that our wide receivers I really like. I like Doug Baldwin. I like Tyler Lockett. Quarterback we're set on if our offensive line doesn't injure Russell Wilson. Yeah, I like Rashad Penny. I really like Chris Carson. But
there it is again.
As long as our offensive line doesn't trip Russell Wilson in the end zone again, I mean, it's gonna be okay. But did you guys remember that playoff game against like the Falcons 2 years ago, and we were at the 2-yard line? Russell Wilson stepped back, and our offensive lineman tripped him, and it was a safety. Like, man, our own offensive lineman sacked Russell Wilson. That's pathetic how bad our offensive line is. Our defense got way worse. Cam Chancellor, he out of here. Richard Sherman, another one bites the dust. And then Earl Thomas, he's ready to leave. He wants to go to the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm like, man, what happened to our defense? Sheldon Richardson, he goes way up north to Minnesota Vikings. I'm like,
Michael Bennett goes to the opposite side of the country.
Yeah, but, like, I didn't even understand our move to get Sheldon Richardson last year looking at it. He didn't even help us get to the playoffs.
Didn't they have Sheldon Richardson as like a linebacker or something?
Yeah.
Stupid.
Our linebackers are good, though. But we traded Jermaine Kearse. We traded Jermaine Kearse, a first-rounder and a second-rounder, for Sheldon Richardson and like a fifth-rounder. And Sheldon Richardson didn't even help us get to the playoffs. He decided to leave us hanging out to die without basically any direction because we don't have Jermaine Kearse. We don't have a first or second rounder that we traded. I mean, this is sad. Like, he just left us to die basically. And we're relying on our fifth rounder, which was an offensive lineman. Shaquem Griffin might be our future. He might be the future. Shaquille Griffin and Shaquem Griffin are our future. Like, those Griffin brothers are going to be our future defense, and it's sad. We're going to have the first pick next year. I'm looking at the mock drafts, like, who's up there. Seeing a couple quarterbacks up there, I'm like, nah, we need offensive line. And then we'll probably, like, decide to pick a quarterback or something because I didn't think we needed a running back this year. But we drafted one in the first round, Rashad Penny, which we could have gotten in the third round. We decided to fail to draft an offensive line until the fifth round. We drafted a punter. A punter. Like, we have John Ryan still. We got John Ryan still when we drafted a punter.
Alright. I think we need to move on.
Yeah.
I thought the Browns were bad.
Yeah, you were like looking at me like the Browns or the Bengals are crazy, and now all of a sudden like, oh, but you know who's gonna be worse?
This is your own team too, man.
Oh, God.
Man.
Sad. It's sad.
We're savage here.
I mean, we went 0-26, I think, our first 26 games of our career, or of our team's existence, and I don't think I was that grim.
We were the 1-15 when the Browns had like that season like 2 years ago, and I was like, okay, once the Raiders get here, I may be tempted to jump ship. And thankfully they're not. I was like, okay, there is hope again. There is something here.
It's sad though, like
you're topping this, man.
Like we're rebuilding in a sense with a top 5 quarterback easily. Like, I'm not sure how we can rebuild with that, especially if we don't draft an offensive lineman anytime soon. And we decide to draft a punter before an offensive lineman. Like, jeez.
You guys are going to be in the same spot as the Colts are, and if you guys let that offensive line continue to go by the wayside,
we're gonna be worse than the Colts. At least the Colts drafted Quentin Nelson.
Yep.
Like, I don't know.
And Braden Smith.
Yeah, I'm looking at the clock right now. We got probably another. Let's try to get through this as quick as we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just go quick fire.
Yeah.
Go ahead there.
And then we can go for the playoffs a little bit. So, number one, the Rams. All great pieces they had. Ndamukong Suh, Rakeem Talib, Marcus Peters. They make that defense so much better. And they probably have one of the most complete offenses in the league. Fairmont picked to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. There's your hot take. Number two, San Francisco 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo. San Francisco finally has their first, I guess, franchise QB since Colin Kaepernick was supposed to be that guy, and we know what happened there. But I think they have the young pieces, they have the good offensive talent, and they have the good coaching that I think matters in that category. If San Francisco goes at least 500, they should be excited. Number three, Seattle Seahawks, actually, because I trust in Pete Carroll. I trust in Russell Wilson to make all that work. But here's the thing. Seattle instantly goes down to fourth if this bold prediction comes true. Russell Wilson is going to miss games to injury, I think. Because that offensive line, I think, is just going to allow Russell Wilson to get battered around so much. And he's been an Iron Man. I'm sorry. He's been an Iron. Like, Russell Wilson's been an Iron Man, but at some point, like, you just get battered around so much. And all it takes is just, like, one bad fall, and that's it. Like, if Russell Wilson goes down, Seattle's screwed. Like, until then, though, I'm willing to put them over Arizona just because I think they're a team in transition. Sam Bradford, I don't trust as far as injury goes. I think that's a team trying to figure themselves out. Even though David Johnson is my sleeper pick for MVP, if Arizona does actually decide to not be trash.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I appreciate you saying that we actually aren't going to be the worst team in the league, especially in our division. Like, that's pretty nice compliment, man.
I believe. I have to make up for you. I believe a little bit.
Maybe we can have a top five, number 5 pick instead of number 1, you know? Like, maybe. Brandon?
Top 15, maybe? We get a tackle?
Yeah.
We won't get a tackle.
Cardinals number 4. My thoughts exactly with Derek. They just don't look like they have themselves figured out. Aside from David Johnson and Larry Fitzgerald, I don't know why that man continues to stay. I mean, the man's loyal to a fault. But you know, it's going to be another season in the cellar again for him, and I hate to see that because he's one of my favorite players of all time. Class act.
And the sad part is, like, if they trade to a place like Minnesota or the LA Chargers, Arizona will riot. Like, he is as close to untradeable as it
honestly,
we can talk about it.
Honestly, I want him to go to the Chargers. Here's why. If the Chargers win the Super Bowl with Fitzgerald and Phillip Rivers, those are the two guys that are the most deserving to finally get a Super Bowl. So I kind of want it, but
it is the dream. It's the dream.
It's a long shot. It's a long shot.
Yeah, Derek's gonna get his happy dance right there.
Yeah, we gotta just get it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Anyway, going to
You're open for that.
Number three is gonna be Seattle for me. Again, Russell Wilson, I would say, is one of those types of quarterbacks, like not exactly on the level of an Aaron Rodgers, but one of those quarterbacks where you put him on your team, he has the ability to extend the pocket. He makes all the great throws, and he, like Derek said, he is an Iron Man. I think it would be interesting to see how the Iron Man holds up with an offensive line that basically is like a wet piece of toilet paper.
It's a stick.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if we might see a few chinks in an armor, but still, I think that Russell Wilson will hold up and they'll get just far enough to get a 3 spot. Going up to number 2, I got the 49ers. Jimmy G, I don't think he's a good or great quarterback because we haven't seen enough of him.
No.
But I think he's got some promise to him. Mm-hmm. We'll see, obviously, if he lives up to those expectations. Plus, the Niners are retooling that team. They're retooling that defense as well. You got John Lynch as the GM. The man knows his defense. I can attest to that personally. So I think that they got enough to push for a 2 spot. And then, obviously, number 1, the LA Rams. They were the number 1 seed last year. Like Derek said, one of the best, well-balanced offenses in the league. And on top of that, they just continue to pile on free agent signing after free agent signing. say what you will about the chemistry there. I think it's going to be enough to get them. I'll make a bold prediction. I think it's enough to get them number 1 seed in the NFC. So I won't say where they go in the playoffs just yet, but they're number 1 seed.
All right. So should we just do like quick fire through the NFC? Like,
sure.
Give like a couple reasons.
Like 1, 2, 3, 4.
We're calling it 7 minutes.
So for me, the NFC East, I got number 1 Cowboys, 2 Eagles, 3 Redskins, and 4 Giants. I only say Cowboys because there's always been a different NFC East division winner for the last, since 2010, I think I saw. And Ezekiel Elliott is returning. Sean Lee missed every single game last year. And 2 years ago when they went 13-3, he played every game. So as long as he plays, which might be a bold prediction that he plays every game, then I feel like they're going to win the division.
Derek? So, number 1, I think the streak finally ends. The Eagles finally are the team to break the streak. They'll be NFC champions. Carson Wentz is the best quarterback in that division. They have all the pieces. The offensive line's good. The secondary does scare me a little bit, but I think that the Eagles are in a position where they can cover all that and be fine. So, Eagles are my number 1. I have Cowboys as my number 2. Offensive line, still good. Not as great as like a few years ago, but still pretty good. Ezekiel Elliott, they have the engine of that offense back. Dak Prescott's a good quarterback. Not great, not amazing, but he's good enough that he's serviceable. He can be a good starter. And Dallas's defense, there are actually a few pieces there that I like, so I'll give them benefit of a doubt there. Washington is number 3. Darius Slice, I think, was a steal in the second round. Defense, I think Jonathan Allen coming back would be a big boost to them. And Alex Smith just gives them a really good quarterback that they are lucky that they could transition from Kirk Cousins to Alex Smith, I believe. Smith is a game manager type, but that's not a bad thing because it means you won't get any mistakes. And the mistakes he does make are very rare, but you can cover them up. So I think Washington has the safe play, not necessarily the most exciting play, not necessarily a play that would make them have a playoff push, but they're a safe play to at least try and get to 500, I think. I have the Giants at number 4. I love their draft class, but they're a team designed for the future, not designed to win now. I think they have more potential to be a top 5 pick again.
All right.
Basically be the Chargers in a way.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and start off the bottom. I actually have the Redskins going for the bottom in this one, as strange as that sounds. Mostly just because, again, I like Alex Smith. I don't think, though, like you said, he's a game manager type. I don't think he's going to add anything as much as Kirk Cousins did. And at the same time, too, like they're getting Geis, which I like, and they got the nose tackle in the first round. I forget it. Yeah, Payne. I like the fit there, but I just don't see them getting past. I don't see them beating the Giants for the number 3 spot, who I have actually number 3, because I think Barkley. I think the fact that they got Nate Solder will be good for Eli. It'll keep him upright. You won't have defenders flying in his face left and right. That's a step in the right direction. You always need a good blindside blocker, and so I think that in the combination with Saquon, I think he'll do well his first rookie season. That'll be enough to get him a 3 spot, but no higher. Dallas will be number 2, just because, again, they're getting back Sean Lee, Ezekiel Elliott. You're getting a lot of consistency. And also, though, too, they made a couple additions at the wide receiver position, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was Robinson, I believe, or Hearns. One of the 2 receivers from Jacksonville.
Hearns.
Yeah.
Hearns.
One of the Jacksonville.
Robinson went to Chicago.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And Michael Gallup in the draft is a good acquisition.
I like him. He's good.
Yeah. So I think that'll be enough to get them to the 2 seed. I actually think that this division, it will kind of mirror one of the other divisions we had before. It's like a lot of the teams, 1 is going to be obvious, but 2, 3, and 4, they're going to kind of be close, I think. I don't see this one as being, 2 terrible teams, 2 great teams. I see it more as 1 top and 3 kind of just hanging out right there in the middle. Number 1, Philadelphia Eagles. They're going to break the streak. Former Super Bowl champs. And also you're getting Carson Wentz, the guy that at one point last season, before he got hurt, he was the front runner for MVP. So I think that having him back and having him back in the offense will be fine, even if he sits out a couple games, because I've heard that people are saying that he might not be 100% by the time he gets back. They can afford to do that, especially with a competent quarterback backing him up like Nick Foles, Super Bowl MVP. So I think they're going to be just fine in that division. They're going to be number 1.
Yeah.
All right.
Should we just go over like our playoffs, like who will be like the order in the playoffs and who wins the Super Bowl and against who?
Yeah, we'll just go quick fire.
We don't have to explain just because we've already explained. We'll just go.
Explained everything. Really.
For the AFC, number 1 seed, I got the Patriots. 2 seed Jaguars. 3 seed Chargers. 4 seed Steelers. 5 seed Texans. And 6 seed Raiders. Titans just missed out on a tiebreaker. And I actually have the Jaguars coming out on that conference and making it to the Super Bowl. NFC, I got Rams 1 seed. 2 seed is the Falcons. 3 seed will be the Vikings. 4 seed Cowboys. 5 seed will be Saints. And 6 seed will be the Packers. And the Falcons come out of that conference. And it's the Jaguars over Falcons Super Bowl 27-24. Bold prediction.
All right, there we go. All right, so AFC. Well, I'll just go pretty quick. 1 New England, 2 Jacksonville, 3 Pittsburgh, 4 Los Angeles Chargers, 5 Houston, and 6 Kansas City. Oakland, Tennessee missed out just at the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
And I will have New England representing. You can't bank against Tom Brady. You just can't do it. I think it's a safe bet at this stage. NFC, I'm going to say that number 1 is LA. Number 2 is Minnesota. And I kind of flip-flop on both. So they're both pretty much going to be the top 2 seeds, in my opinion. Number 3 is going to be New Orleans, actually. Number 4, I think, is going to be Philadelphia. Number 5 is going to be Green Bay. 6, Atlanta. And I have LA coming out of that about that. I have New England beating LA. I'll go same score, 28-24.
All right. So for my FC, I got New England number 1, Pittsburgh at number 2, Jacksonville at 3, and then the Raiders at 4. I almost said LA Raiders. And then
Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, Vegas Raiders. Two wild card teams are going to be the Texans and the Chargers. However, I got New England walking out of this one in the Super Bowl. NFC, I got the Rams at 1, Eagles at 2, Vikings at 3, Saints at 4, and then the Falcons and Packers are the wild cards. I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to have the Vikings walk out of this one. I think last year with the Eagles, what they had, like they're going to start a trend. You're going to start seeing, well, at least what this year goes, like teams that haven't won a Super Bowl yet. They're going to start trying to make that push, and I think the Vikings will finally get to the Super Bowl after feels like an eternity. And I'm going to have them upsetting the Patriots twice in a row. I think that I'm going to go bold. This is where my bold prediction comes in. I think that the defense of Minnesota will win out versus Brady, and I think that you'll see why defense truly wins championships. I'll have this one going 2017, Minnesota.
All right.
And they get their first one too. So, and Duncan's gonna love this.
Everything feels good. Yeah.
Yeah.